Hey, how's it going? Josh here from Books by Josh, and this is episode 81 of the Books by Josh audio immersion. This episode is titled Losing Someone. So, as you can probably tell if you listen to this episode and you heard my previous one, there's a big gap between the two episodes. And as you can probably tell from the title, I lost someone close to me. So, I'm shooting from the hip here. If you hear my voice tremble, you know why already. So, this year I'm turning what? 34? And of course, I've experienced death with family members, such as my grandparents, uncles, aunts, things like that. But this is honestly the first death I've experienced to someone close to me that wasn't family, but was technically family, if you get what I'm saying. Someone I knew closely that I didn't feel was that old. For them to go at such a young age, especially when I knew them for 15 years, you know? Like I said, I'm about to be 34 at the end of this year. So 15 years is almost 50% of my lifetime. Was it like 45% of my life I've known this person? And completely healthy person goes to the doctor, gets medical checkups annually, things like that. Had a clean bill of health, then 6 months later, is coughing up blood, had stomach cancer. They pulled out 2/3 of the stomach, then the chemo, and it spread to the lower intestine, and that's pretty fatal, like a 90 something percent death rate. The more chemo, and it just kept spreading, you know? And next month they would have been 20 years on me, so they would have been 54. So I know some of you thinking, hey, 54 is kind of old, but not when people live at 80 plus. If you look at the wrestler Iron Sheik, he just died in the 80s. Look at superstar Billy Graham, 80s. And these guys had battered bodies. This person didn't eat bad, didn't drink, didn't smoke, things like that. And for them to be gone, it's like you start thinking, hey, did I spend enough time with them? Things like that. One of my last memories with this person is I took him to a Yankees game. He loved the Yankees ever since he was a kid, or a teenager technically in New York City. So I took him to the Yankees game, got him field level seats. We didn't sit in our seats. We went to where my other coworker was, so we were on third base. So we went to first base, section 112. The people in front of my coworker never came, so we hung out there, the three of us. And it was a great game. It was Old Timers Day, so you got to see some of the legends get recognized, things like that. And technically, he caught a foul ball. So a foul ball came. He caught it with his hat, but the person behind him, because the ball went there, slapped his hat out of the way, hit the ground, and just flew up a few seats behind us. But technically, he caught it. But things like that. Of course, I have videos with him, pictures, but nothing ever really replaces a person. Because you have stories about things you've done with them. Trust me, I have hundreds of those. Movies you went with them see, like we did a midnight release for Iron Man 3. I remember that. So stuff like that in Queens, staying over at his house, things like that, going on vacation. But then there's just times that you want to call them, because you see something cool, things like that. Like I just did an episode on Tech with Josh, TK for Tech with Josh, 3 words, but about augmented reality and virtual reality. And this friend of mine, he was a tech lover. Like any new gadget comes out, he has to get it. And in that episode, I talk about virtual reality with the Samsung Galaxy headset that they had back for the Note, I think 4. I know they had for the 5, but he had it. He's the one that bought it when it first came out. And it was Chinese New Year, and he's over here showing all of us, hey, look at this. And it was cool. You know? He's the type that will get that first thing. So now, whenever something gets announced, I think of him like I just bought a pair of augmented reality glasses because of the Apple announcement. Hey, he would love to see this. You know, he is just sad. And what's crazy, it's been a few months. This happened back in March. It's June right now, and it still stings. Then you start getting philosophical, thinking about the afterlife, things like that. Just messes with your head, you know? Sure, I can talk to people, but most people my age haven't lost someone that they know in this many years, you know? Which is why it's a shock, other than like a family member. But I feel that doesn't sting because you honestly, your mind is conditioned to know, hey, this family member's gonna die before me, realistically. Okay, so when my grandparents died, I understood circle of life, things like that. But not with someone I've known since, what, 18, 19 years old? It's gone like that, out of the blue, you know? And that's the whole thing, because death comes for us all. With life, there's death and taxes. So you can't avoid taxes or death. And it's like, makes me think of it more and more. Like I said, lost my uncle during the pandemic. I knew him, but I didn't spend time with him like I did with my friend. My friend even came to my grandmother's wake and funeral, you know? So things like that. Sure, I can talk to people who knew him as long, you know, coworkers, friends. But we each knew him, but it's like we all miss him, but it's gonna make you sad, you know, you're supposed to celebrate the person, things like that. And with his birthday coming up next month, I'm like, do I go visit him? Like, it's the whole thing because not something that I've done. I've done it for my grandparents, you know, when I was younger, but as an adult, not my culture to go visit or mourn the deceased. He's Chinese, so his family, you know, they will go there, they have a meal with him, things like that. That's not me. It's just getting past the grievance, you know. Honestly, I got my current job because of him too. So every single day I'm working is because of him. No, you move on, things like that. You have to thank the people that came before you and made you the person you are. So, prime example, like 5 people you meet in heaven, or the 5 more people you meet in heaven. They talk about the 5 people who influenced your life throughout the course of it. And in the first book, the first person that the main character meets is someone he never physically met, but they shaped him and how he grew up and things like that. Second book, first person she meet, never met her, but because of that person, she was able to get surgery, things like that. And the last person, he doesn't remember, but it all affected her. And this friend of mine, I have to remember, because of them, I am who I am today, you know? And that's what's about. Just remembering everything they did for you, the good times, the bad times, just rolling with the punches. But that's it for this episode of the Books by Josh Audio Immersion. Take care. Catch you guys in the next one.